But my whole idea is that we should give our parents some grace. When we begin to understand that most of our parents were results from after the war, and in an era where the value of a woman was not was not a high thing. So mommy Amadi has given birth to a beautiful girl, but she's not happy about it. And everybody's like, ah, why are you not happy now? This girl is beautiful because, and she's saying, I did not plan this thing, I did not plan this thing. And maybe, yes, she didn't plan it, and it was a quote unquote a mistake because things happen. And when we hear stories of women, we know how evil men can be. Yeah. We know how evil men can be and how evil men can lure younger women into being with them. And so Mommy Amadi is not happy. She just had this girl child and she's not happy, and she begins to not nurture this child because, well, she did not plan to have this child in the first place. And so fast forward, the child grows up and the child is now aware that she's not wanted. So she begins to withdraw. And because a lot of African parents, a lot of African fathers can be very aggressive, he's not present, and so the child has no love. And the family goes on because in Nigeria you're just expected to go on even when it's not working. Just go on, because it's better to say, oh, I've stayed 30 years in marriage and I have 7 beautiful children. Quantity is always better than quality in Nigeria. The typical Nigerian thing. As long as your testimony sounds lengthy, is worthy. So they go on to have 7 or 8 children, and these children grow up to be strangers because vulnerability is not even a thing in an African home, in a Nigerian home. So they are siblings, but they are strangers. They don't know each other. And worst case scenario is now when they go to boarding schools, travel to different cities to go and school in boarding schools, and then everybody comes back and it's almost, you can hear a pin fall in the house because nobody knows what to say to anybody. And it's not the fault of the children, it's solely the parents' fault for not being able to closely need these children because of maybe circumstances. So back to the parents, and then because a lot of Nigerians don't read, because again, now who chop belle full go read, because they've hustled, they go out, they come back, they sleep, they go out, they come back, they sleep, they argue, go out, come back, sleep, boss shout at you, don't eat egusi soup, just like that. And because of all these things, they don't even read. So they've not even read finance books. Is it now books on love they would read? So they don't even know how to love correctly. And yes, there's this distance now created in the house where the homes are now passageways and the workplaces and schools now become the home. And so you're home, but you don't even recognize it. It doesn't smell like home, it doesn't feel like home, and you can't wait to get out. You can't wait to go to work, you can't wait to go to school. And this is just what happens because Africans, Nigerians always prefer quantity over quality. They'll always want you to, get married early, have 7 children, stay married for 40 years, protect the bloodline of anger and bitterness and regrets and a lot of unhealed things than actually be grounded in love. It's a typical Nigerian thing. And so, like I said, the siblings now become strangers. And then they start praying, oh, don't let my children hate each other. When this thing was never a prayer matter. But about extending grace to our parents, to parents in general, to Nigerian parents, African parents, they learn quite late because they start reading quite late, because they can relax quite late. The hustle culture did not do a good one on them, so they relax late, and then they begin to learn these things, and then they say, oh my God, I have messed up as a father, I have messed up as a mother, And apology is not really a thing in our culture, but few parents do that. Few parents talk to their children, they call them back and they apologize, and there's a lot of crying and confessions. And to them, they had done their best. Yeah. To them, they had tried to be the best parent. But to you, because you were more aware, you were more relaxed enough to read. People don't understand that you have to be relaxed enough to read. You were more relaxed enough to read, so you understand these dynamics pretty much more than they do or they did. And so, a lot of times, a lot of Nigerian youth, a lot of youth in general, carry that resentment of, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be like my parents. Look at what they said to me. Look at what they did to me. And then they carry that in, and then they even transfer their aggression sometimes, which I think is quite anyway. And so they make my only question mark is when a lot of people make comments like they're going to be the perfect parents. I'm like, you can think your child needs a free hand and give that child a free hand, and the child is going to grow up and say, why did you give me a free hand? You could have held me more. I wouldn't have turned out like this if you had held me more. And you can think that, oh, this child needs a strict hand, and you give that child a strict hand. And the child bites you in the back and say, why did you give me a strict hand? If you had given me a freer hand, I wouldn't have been like this. And you could have been in the middle, not too strict, not too lenient, and they'll say, why did you just leave me to do what I want? I wanted you to choose for me. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm not going to impose religion on my children, or I'm going to impose religion on my children. And the children might grow up and say, why did you impose religion on me? Why did you teach me about this? I wish you never taught me about this. And then you don't teach them about religion, and they say, you could have taught me about religion. You could have taught me about this. Why didn't you teach me about this thing? Do you know where I'm now learning this thing from here? So you never know. We should give that grace to our parents. A lot of them do a great job because you never know. Humans are so dynamic. Humans are so dynamic. You never know. You never know. You could teach your child about Christianity, about Islam, about anything, and they would hate you for it. And you could not teach them about it, and they would hate you for it. And you could just gist them about it and let them choose, and they could hate you for it. So it's not a certain thing. There is no certainty. So you could raise a child in love and they say you're too clingy. And they actually hate you for being too in love with them. And they say you're always calling me, always, and you could not care, and they say you don't care about me, you want me to die. So you never know. So I know that a lot of children that are now maybe in marriageable age or married and have families do this thing of, I'm not going to do what my parents did. I'm going to You never know. Really. The only thing I have to say is watch and pray and give your parents grace. Really. Because that's the only thing that works. You could think you've done your best and you get the opposite results. Life is so dynamic. Human beings are so dynamic. And so let's not move through life with this ego thinking of, oh, our opinions are the best opinions, because or our teachings are the best teachings, because you just never know. Okay. And I really pray that the Lord gives us the grace to be humble and gives us the grace to learn, because it takes a lot of grounding. It takes a lot of that. And how was your childhood like, and how is your parenting journey if you're a parent, and how would you like to parent your kids if you want to be a parent in the future? And I really pray the Lord will help us, because humans don't have that capacity. We don't have that capacity. We are never, life is never certain. And so we should we should take it easy on the way we blame our parents. I know, sometimes a lot of your stories are very touching, but take it easy. Life is very It's very like this. So the Lord will help us, and as always, Jisike.